Lightning in a Bottle is an amazing record, one of the band's best. Now, I want to go track by track and just hear your thoughts on each track. If there's anything about the making of it, you can tell me your thoughts on the song. So Live Again, the first song. What can you tell me about this track and what made you want to have this be the opening song of the record?
Well, first of all, as far as the opening song, Tony picked that, and we all thought it would be a really great one to open with. Um, it comes on like a gangbusters, and it's the kick-ass, the bounce beat and stuff. But um, "Live Again" was written by the lyrics, believe it or not, were written by Henry, and it sounds like Henry did this thing with he wrote the lyrics to 4 or 5 of the songs on the album, ones you would not expect, such as Lady Heroin, even. And that surprises people because,
Yeah.
yeah, he wanted to put himself in my shoes and try to present it, seeing it through my perspective. And Live Again was one of those also. Uh, he wanted to express that I'm back, full force and so forth. And we're back. And I mean, 10 years is a little wild to wait between records, Jesus. But they wrote that, and Henry put the words to it. I asked them, like I did with all the songs, if I could switch a few words here or there. But it's a great opening song, and then I think it expresses kind of the introductory to the new metamorphosis of the band, you know.
Yeah, and it's such a great way to open the record. I remember hearing it for the first time, and it just hits you in the face, and it's like, yeah, this is going to be an amazing, one of the best Pentagram records. Now, the Panic Room, I also love, and is another one that's great. What can you tell me about this track?
Panic Room was written by Henry and myself and Tony. All the almost all the songs were formerly written in scratch tracks, and then I, went to the studio. I had just a bunch of disorganized words, and I'd listen to the instrumental tracks one after another and pick and choose here and there. Hey, this one, I think I can do this one. And then I'd take a sheet or 2 sheets of lyrics into the recording booth and record, just try to apply the words, cold into the format and structure of the song. In the Panic Room was,
So it's kind of improvised almost.
yeah, it is to an extent. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there were like the original nuances were also left in of all of them, uh, vis-a-vis the scratch tracks that were done. But originally, Tony played the bass on everything, just to lay them down in the studio, with and him playing guitars also. None of them had a word of vocals or any words applied or anything like that. And Henry had some sheets of lyrics like I did, and just kind of we we had a flow, man, that was to us capturing lightning in a bottle, man. We just hit it off. It was everything was lined up. We hit the good luck number. I don't know what really happened, but most of the songs on the album were done in 1 or 2 vocal takes, and I did all the singing in like 3.5 days of 4 or 5 hours a day, and it was done. Yeah.
That's so amazing to hear. This record is so strong and tight. There's no low points, and it's really cool to hear that and how there was a very traditional way of writing this record. You were even talking about in a video how, bands like Bang and other proto metal bands were big inspirations to this record.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
even lyrically,
yeah.
traditionally there'd be a lot of like improvisation
Right.
where it would just be someone doing the riff and it's like, I'm just gonna, kind of see what comes out. So it's
Yeah.
cool how traditional this record was written.
It really has a lot of 70s flavor, I think, and a lot of pentagram nuance to it. it stays heavy and kick ass all the way through. Like Panic Room's got the quiet section throughout the middle part, which struck us ultra Captain Beyond.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it really has that flavor to it, and it also has a little Lord Baltimore, the the walk ups and stuff. The record kicks my ass. It's I'm happy as hell with it. It's my favorite Pentagram album. It was always Sub Basement up until this one, and this one I think kind of trumped it. You know,
A lot of bands and artists when they put out a record, they're like, "Yeah, this is my new favorite," but this truly is like,
yeah.
damn,
I
like
always say that too. That everybody said to me, "Oh, of course you're going to say that. You say that every album," and yes, that's true. But then after you go and really deepen your perspective into what you've done and look back at it, it's like, man, we did a really able to be proud of venture when we did this record. I don't think there's any clunkers or anything half-assed or lacking on it.
not at all. And I do hear a little bit of Dust in some of the music as well, which is one of my favorite bands.
I hear a lot. I hear yeah. There's a lot of influences of all the really bands that I love, Henry loves, and Tony loves. We're all very knowledgeable about the same genre of late 60s through the early to mid 70s bands that didn't get their proper recognition in our eyes. And that kind of flavor has been added. It just naturally comes, because these are the things we would like to emulate. And I mean, and we've been around a long time too, as the name of a band, and the structure basically.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so awesome to hear. It's so awesome to hear that kind of music, but with like, a different guitar tone and like really good production. Um,
Yeah, the
uh,
production is excellent and clear, and it's recorded really cleanly and well. I'm really happy with that too.
and speaking of, yeah, let's before I almost jumped a song. I Spoke to Death is one of my favorites lyrically. I love the lyrics on this. So dark and just great. And your delivery is awesome too. What can you tell me about this track?
uh, I Spoke to Death was originally one side of a split single that was issued in limited, like 500 copies, I think, were pressed of it. It was done by Moss Generator, and Tony presented it, and it was one of the ones that I hadn't heard that I picked and said, "Wow, that's a really cool one. Let's give that one a shot." And do you mind if I do it and just put my own slant? And Tony enjoyed the hell out of the way I did it. And yeah, it was done originally when it was written for Moss Generator. Tony and Scooter, having always been big Pentagram fans, they called the working title of it Pentamoss. Because it's got the line of, he wore a nightmare gown, which they were doing like as a tributed thing, to Pentagram and stuff. And so it was really kindred, and it worked out really good. I like the song a whole lot. We play it live, every night. Uh,
Yeah, and it translates so well. As I've listened to some of the bootlegs on YouTube and some of these like solve the puzzle too. Like some of these translate so well live. Now I do want to touch on Dull Pain. This riff is excellent, and the guitar tone really complements it. Uh, might be one of my favorite riffs on the record, and it reminds me a little bit of "Take Me Away."
that's what it was written in looking at. Tony wrote the music. He was,
Specifically, that song.
yes, yeah. He didn't cite the title ever, but I knew it was obvious to me. The
Yeah, yeah.
Take Me Away was written by Jeff O'Keefe, uh, the music and the lyrics of that, and he wanted to give it that kind of a flavor and be very pentagramish. It's a very pentagrammy sounding song for sure. You know, uh, he made sure, like, Tony's got a real knack with hooks. He really does. The hooks on the album, the chorus parts and stuff like that. And we just kept it kind of bare bones for the most part. But a little, maybe a line here or there of harmony just to give little flavor, enhancements and stuff, little spices to them. And his lead breaks, solos, when he plays them, he doesn't extend them to any great degree. Uh, he just has a knack with putting a song together. He's a really good arranger, and I always fancy myself as doing that well too. So coordinating together was an easy deal. On let's do this 4 times instead of 2. The slight amendments that came afterwards. When Tony went to produce the album, he produced it actually alone, in the sense that Henry and I went home when he was going to mix it, and we
No
were
input at all, just totally him.
just totally him. And he had Scooter come in like a week and a half later, after everything was there except the bass and the lead break additions. And Scooter came in and put all the bass guitar in, took Tony's all out, and Scooter did all the bass stuff in like a day and a half from scratch. They're amazing, man. They blow my mind. They're bullshit, you know.
I've heard people say that this album sounds like it's been in the works for 10 years because of how good it is, how great it sounds, the master, the production. But to hear how casually some of this was recorded and it's just is really great. It's so cool
Yeah,
that how
a
it
lot of
was so
spontaneity.
traditionally made.
Yeah, a lot of spontaneity. There was
Yeah.
not this time, and thought that went deeply into all the things. They were like kind of off the cuffy, and it just happened to fit together because, as artists separately, all of us as musicians, we just mesh and meld our stuff together. It's amazing to me. It blows my mind. And it's like, yeah, everything fits, man. What more can I? I can't ask for much more. We're planning on going in September and October and doing another record, another
Yeah, which
album.
is something I cannot wait to talk about. And I'm looking if it's anything like this, it's going to be another banger. Now, Lady Heroin you touched on a little bit and is on rotation as one of my favorites on the whole album.
Yep.
Surprised, I am shocked if there's one song I would say that you wrote, it'd be this one, but apparently that's not even true.
No. Nope. I didn't write any of Lady Heroin. I just performed it, and once again, Henry wrote the lyrics down and had a rough melody that he liked, and I kind of took on to that and did it my kind of way, and asked if I could, change this or that. They wouldn't mind, and of course they didn't. And it came out wonderful. It's his perspective on the kind of addiction thing, I guess, or so to speak.
Yeah, and you sing it so personally
Yeah,
too.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I really feel it because when you've been in that place, it's a lot easier to express you know, from that viewpoint. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's great to see. I'll certainly see you in hell make a return from
yeah, that's
71.
yeah, that's the oldest song on the album. There's like 70, 71. Yeah, I wrote the music and the words to that, and wanted to have a little bit more melodic line. So it's got the refrain, still a little bit of harmony, vocals, but we wanted to keep it garage, and it very much is. It's a 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that, and it just kicks ass all the way through, and it's done the same basic way that we did it initially.
Were there any old songs that almost replaced it or that were in the running to be on this?
There were a couple that were liked, but not really. It happened to have been a song that, when we were choosing old songs with the former members lineup, it was chosen by everybody in the band, like, once again. And it's weird, when I went up to Seattle to do the vocals, it was like, I really want to do this one. I'll certainly see you in hell. So, because they had recorded the scratch of it, and it was perfect. It fit really well, and I liked the feeling of it, and came out really nicely.
Yeah, and
It's the only that, and I Spoke to Death, the only songs that had surface whatsoever ever before. The rest of the entire thing is brand new. So,
Yeah, and it fits so well into the track list. It really does, even with that garage sound. I'd love to see the song, and maybe with a different working title, but the song "Rape." I think that's I think that would if with a new coat of paint, I love the riff in that one, but this certainly is a great addition. Now,
well, as
Thundercrest.
far as the song "Rate" goes, which
Uh-huh.
I deliberately wrote it to be an instrumental when I wrote it in about '72 or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, it will soon surface new.
Cool. Yeah,
But
yeah, and I
well,
can
not
only
no. I
imagine
shouldn't say
where.
new. I don't want to mislead. It's the same recording of the original one that came out, but doctored up as far as proper mix and proper master.
That's really cool. Yeah, to like since now that we have all the fans, and I have a lot of friends who collect like garage 45s
Mhm.
and would love to hear that properly,
Yeah, well, it's
presented.
like Batman meets Link Ray, everything. Yeah, yeah, basically
Yeah, that's
Batman meets Dust. Kind of.
yeah, for sure. Now the first single, right? Thundercrest,
Mhm.
which has to be my favorite riff on the record. This riff just fucking hits
Yeah,
you like a truck.
it's
So
pretty.
heavy, man.
Yeah.
Like the palm muted, like, oh my, I first heard that and I'm like, am I stoned? It hit me so hard. It's so great. Such a great riff. What can you tell me about this track?
That one it hits me kind of like a petrified with the underdrive. Whenever we do it, I think of delivering the goods by Judas Priest. It's
Yeah, yeah,
kind of like that. It got
yeah.
that underdriven thing, running through it the double time. Um, Thundercrest was let's see, I wrote the words and kind of fit them in weird. But then when it came to that chorus part, man, that just rushes heavy. It's we do that live.
Steamrolls.
Yeah, we do that live, and that's kind of a hard one to do actually, because when we did it in the studio, you got to edit here and there because I got to catch my breath because I'm saying a lot of words and they're going behind each other and stuff, so they overlap. But live, it's kind of hard to keep.
And with the cough as well, and you're telling me some of the where it's like I can't, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it gets a
2 days
little
worth of breathing in one song.
rough. Yeah, but hey, when we do this upcoming tour, we got to do. Right now, we're gonna have to scratch one of them. I don't know which one's gonna be, which is unfortunate, but we'll postpone it probably, whatever. But anyway, right now, as it's scheduled, we've got 15 dates in a row with no days off.
Seriously? It's
That's an
in a
awful.
row?
Even major big bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, there's a day off somewhere in that kind of a
A
row.
day to maybe travel, go to the next, but it's
Yeah, we
no,
have no
it's
days off. It's 15 out of 15 days, and that's
you're a
the.
true road dog, man. That's legit. That's not messing around.
We all are in the band. We love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the life you signed up for, and everyone
Yeah.
loves to see you, and everyone's coming out and solve the puzzle is a live track, which I think is it being played at every show,
Almost everyone.
almost every
Some nights
show.
we leave it out occasionally, but not almost all every night. Yeah, we play it. I like Solve the Puzzle. It reminds me of kind of a ZZ Top thing. It's got the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bus snap to it, which I always love that song. Solve the Puzzle's cool. I had the words to Solve the Puzzle were applied to different music in the former lineup, and
Actually,
yeah, and then I took them out and kind of rewrote some of them. You know,
were there any specific songs those lyrics were supposed to be on from Curious Volumes?
no, not from Curious Volume. Mm-mm.
Oh, what was it?
It was something that Greg Turley and I had recorded. This is up on YouTube somewhere. Him and I
Got
did
it.
3 or 4 songs once. Kind of came out of a song called "Thrill of the Kill." But anyway,
Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah. And Spread Your Wings, which is one of my favorites and is another live song, you guys have been doing.
No, we don't. We
Right?
did it the first few gigs, and I said this one's kind of too much for me to pull off live, and I didn't like the way it came out. And the band, man, we when somebody expresses something in this lineup, every person attentively and thoroughly listens to the opinion given as far as pros and cons and reasons for why a member might or might not think it, should fit. I have a lot of respect for them for that. I just I come to a point in the last inception where I didn't feel useful enough in input, or I hate to put it this way, I didn't feel regarded in a lot of senses as far as counting. I just kind of felt a little bit shunned, and that kind of bugged me. It was like, because hey, even though I'm just a singer and I don't play an instrument in the band, that is, I like having regard given to what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Damn it, I'm a member. I'm part of the unit. I mean, when you go listen to a band, let's face it. Look, people do listen most to the singing right off the bat. They'll love the lick. They might enjoy the hell out of the riff. They say, wow, Liebling straight, but they hear the singing. It's what the mind perceives at first listening to be your format of your melody, your idea, and the presentation. Because I'm not playing something, so I have to present it a different kind of way. And then I have to be the front man, so to speak.
Yeah, you're a part of the machine,
Yeah.
and the audience, and you're helping them through the song. They're singing
Yeah,
along
I
with
love
you.
being right. Exactly. I like being, the guy with the conductor thing, the baton or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, you have your little stick.
Yeah, I got lead singer syndrome. What the hell? I admit it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have quite a legacy and background. So I think if anyone was Bobby Liebling, it'd be hard to not have that. Now, Lightning in a Bottle is captures this whole past year.
Yeah,
And
lightning
is
ball. It's heavy. I like that. Spread your wings. Uh, the quiet segments in them, I really enjoy doing.
the
Lady Girl.
dynamics are so
Yeah,
great.
yeah. There's a lot of dynamics on the record. Lightning in a Bottle has some of the most, and the changes and so forth. When it goes into the fast segment at the end, it reminds me of Target somewhat from the old Pentagram days, and it's got a really cool feeling, and it does kind of encapsulate the whole thing and sum it up. You know?
Yeah, for sure. What made you want this to be the title track?
Um, Henry kind of originally and myself thought let's call it this because we had gotten a touch of magic, a spark that we didn't know would set off this wildfire of creativity in a natural feeling sense to us. So it was like, hey, we captured lightning in a bottle. And,
Yeah, and again, like it's funny how this foreshadowed this tour, the band's popularity. It's this tour is literally the lightning in a bottle tour in every sense you can discuss.
yeah.
Now this last song, Walk the Sociopath, when I put it on, my speakers fell through the floor because of how heavy they became.
Now there's where doom metal can be found if you want to call us a doom band because that motherfucker is slammed down heavy. It's the the dinosaur walking over the city, crushing the buildings as it walks along. It,
Yeah, and is like, and we were talking about dynamics on this record. This record has everything. It has a bit of the old Pentagram and then a bit of like kind of like modern Doom, but with your own flair on it, where it's not just a droning riff for 20
right.
minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It does have diversity within, and it does have continuity. It's got there's dynamics. It's okay. Yeah, it's a doom song, but it's got flavor added enhancement. I don't know how to put it, man. I just, you know,
Were you ever when the riff was brought to you, were you ever hesitant? You're like, that's too, because I know how you feel about doom metal. Were you like, was that maybe too doom, or were you like, bring it on?
because we've always done some sludge songs, some sludgy, slow songs. Like
Sub basement.
the Ghoul is somewhat like that. They're slow, uh, but they're heavy as hell, and that's important is to keep it really, really heavy. That's our main objective, and to conclude the album on the regular edition of the album with Walk the Sociopath. I wrote the words, of course, it's a play on words, and because you have no feeling, and it's just a detachment. The Walk the Sociopath's a heavy son of a bitch, man. It really is intense to what it says.
Tons. Yeah, weighs tons. Now, this record, you've played some of the songs live. You've sat with the songs for a little bit. Do you have a favorite track?
Oh God, I really can't pick one.
It's like picking your favorite child,
No, I really vacillate between one to another to another. And some days it's some days in Panic Room, another day Thundercrest. Then I say, well, we don't play Lightning in the Bottle. Let me give that a listen again. And then it's like, wow, that one's good. So
Yeah, yeah.
I constantly. We even love Might Just Want to Be Your Fool, which is on the extra tracks that are
Which
added.
is fantastic. The bonus track's fantastic. Yeah.
That one and Start the End is another one that's got that. It's a great song, man. I'm really happy with the fucking writing on
The
it.
bonus track is incredible. Like it could have been on the full the record itself, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. Also, the rough mix of Lady Heroin's cool. That's a very welcomed addition because it
Yeah.
reminds me of the early like demos,
It's
you
haunt
know?
has a certain haunt to it, with the emptiness and the little added things left out.
Right.
Uh, I'm happy from A to Z with this one, man. Proud of this fucking thing. If this was the last one I ever did or do, even I can go rest easy.